everybody. Welcome to The Late Night Show with the late night host, The Late Night. My name is Drew. That's all you need to know. Let's get on with it. So tonight in the studio with us, we have author of the book, I Drink... Is this right? Is this right? Okay. I Drink Coffee Stronger Than Your Feelings. An autobiography by Ronan LaRue. Tonight's going to be an exciting episode. Well, Mr. LaRue, thank you for being on our show. I have a couple of questions set up for you, and then I think we're going to go a bit off the book. Could you tell me a bit about the book itself? Well, thank you, Drew, for inviting me to your show, firstly. And the book in question that you're talking about is I Drink Coffee Stronger Than Your Feelings, an autobiography by Ronan LaRue. This one is a very informative and deep subject to me because it's my life. It's, how do I say this? It's breathtaking. It's hard to read, especially with my handwriting. But nevertheless, you will find out that in this book there is ways to overcome hardship and many more struggles just through a short one-page story about my life, where I talk not only about me, but how I noticed that Barney and myself have a lot more in common than you think. You say you and Barney have a lot in common. I can see that something is both turning purple here. And in your book you say that you had a sister, yes, that was older than you, forgot how much, it was one page, don't know how, with a daughter. You say that you kind of looked up to her in a sense, and did this change over time, do you think? Well, Drew, not really. I still look up to my sister very much. I look up to her in a sense that she started her own family, and it's really been an inspiration to me. Like, I do want to start my own family one day, and I know that I will. But just being 15 and looking up to a person that has gotten a job, has gone through school very successfully, has gotten her personal dream job, and has started her own family. I look up to my sister in many ways, and she's taught me many things throughout the years. Yes. You also said in your book that your mother taught you a thing or two about how to cope with anxiety and a bit of having a down day. How does that work? Can you elaborate on that? Yes. Well, Drew, when you hear of coping with anxiety, you normally go through the whole breathe, the breathing techniques mainly. But to be honest, like, breathing is one of the best ways to overcome it. I also learned from my mother, counting backwards helps. I'm surprised it does, but it also puts you to sleep quite often. I won't lie to you. But in a sense, the stuff that I've learned from my mother is kind of something that I've carried with me through my whole life. Not only through hardship, but I mean, if something is too good, too much of a good thing can be bad, if you understand. In a sense, I've kind of wanted to keep the hardships close as well, just to understand where I've come from and where I've grown up from. Who knew breathing helped you stay alive? His mother was a big inspiration. You also said you wanted to be a graphic designer at a certain point. Do you think this pans out still into your life? Well, you see, Drew, I wanted to be a graphic designer from a pretty young age because it required very much of the same things that I liked, which was new age technology and building. And as I've discussed in my book, I've always loved to build things. Making stuff with my hands has always been something that I've enjoyed. I have probably not made as much as I want to, but the stuff that I have done, I've made pretty well. And new age technology, I've not always grown up with the best technology there is out there, but I've grown up with enough technology to understand that it's going to become a part of the future. So if you can't learn on it, then there's kind of going to be that gap that you won't understand from it. And being a graphic designer, that's kind of going into the future of a job with two of the things that you like. But I've also found that in recent days, I've been taking to video editing and video creation, because it's also something where you're using modern age technology, like the cameras on your phones. They have quite good pixelation that you can see me clearly enough that I can make a YouTube video out of this.
Talking to the audience, I see.
But the other thing is that when in video creation, you've also got to make a sense that the viewer is on both sides of the conversation. He is sitting in the audience, and that really makes the feel of a video. And that's what I want to give out, in a sense, that I want to make you feel a part of anything. And that goes into not only graphic design, but also something closer to video making as well.
Well, Mr. Leroux, you just said that your family influenced you at times. Could you explain what you meant by that?
Oh, no. Yeah, I do believe that my mother and my father and my sister, and probably my niece as well, have been a big part in the whole getting me into technology. Like, after school, most of my days, I would go to my mother's office, and I would always be intrigued by her computer. It always ran somewhat faster than mine, and I never understood why. So I always looked up how to make a computer run faster. And it was always amazing just to see this. If you take apart a computer, there's very little to make it work, but it allows you to do so much. And my father, on his side, we would make so many things together. We would start by building roof racks for our car. We moved on to making wooden knives. That was for my own enjoyment. I just loved making things. We bought a soldering iron one day, and we started making circuit boards, and that was pretty nice. And my sister, on the other hand, I just wanted to find a job that I liked, because I've always thought that if you could go into a job that you liked, you never work a day in your life, or so I've heard. But my sister has found a job that she liked, and she's so happy with it. And that's what I want to go into. I want to go into a job that I not only like, but am good at. And I feel like graphic design will overlap that. I find that my niece gets me into a lot of trouble when we try and create things online. But that's just the mischief of little children. But it really got me interested in video making, and that's where it came up in my last answer. That video making is going to become part of modern day society. It's going to be how we learn soon. I'm pretty sure we are doing that right now. But it becomes a certain way of life, if you understand. And my niece got me into it, and I feel like I'm going to go through with it in a way, but not to an extent.
So you're saying it's kind of like family matters. And for the young children out there, they're basically a modern family. Okay, now it's that time of the show where we ask off-book questions. For a starter, do you think your book will help people?
Oh, no, yeah. I fully believe that my book will help people. because throughout text you start learning ways of living. I remember reading Roald Dahl, and he always exclaimed every sentence that he could, and I started learning that that meant that he was always excited about something, and I've been living like that. So look at the good in things, in a sense. But I'm pretty sure that the way my book pans out, it's basically trying to inspire you to do the thing that you've always wanted to do. Like in my book, I talk about anxiety and going through a hard time, and how little voices and the little chirps that you get from everyone else, like you're not doing good enough, you should do better, they can really make a large difference. Those little voices make a large difference, if you understand.
He says he's hearing little voices in his head. It's never good for us sane people.
And I do believe that reading my book will allow you to understand those little voices are actually not punching it down, but is actually trying to lift that nail off the board, so that you understand how, in a way, to deal with those certain life struggles. But in all honesty, my book should not help people, it should inspire them.
Ronan, my producer is now telling me that we've got an on-book question from someone that mailed in. Let's check it out. Thank you, Joel. I'm sorry. Where do you stand in the constitutional values of others, as your book talks about how small voices can break even the hardest of women and men? This was given to us by Kuro Century City My Story Project at 123.
Well, you see, Drew, that's a very difficult question on where I stand, because no matter what I say, I'm going to be wrong to someone. Someone's always going to think that they're right or better. But if I had to think about where I stand in the constitutional right, I think that equality, along with just accepting a person for who they are, no matter how they come, no matter where or what they come from, you should just accept them for who they are. And if they need to better themselves, like I'm sure I had to a lot of the time, but I'm sure if they had to better themselves, that you can just lend a helping hand. And through helping each other, we can just broaden our aspects of equality amongst each other. And just having that equality together stops a war from happening, stops a war from causing famine, stops famine from hurting other people. And that hurt is what kind of drives more war. So if we can break that cycle of just round and around and around of just hurt because we are hurt by people that are hurting us, if we can just break that, we'd be a near perfect world. And I would like to take a quote from my book just to say something at least in that sense. And the quote goes as follows: if everyone was treated equal, no one would be special. No one would be in the right. No one would be in the wrong. Everyone just treated everyone equally, we could get through anything together. Sure, you may look like the next person. Sure, you may look similar to someone else. Sure, you may think that I'm one in a million. But if we treat each other equal, we will be the only generation to follow through with having completely equal society. And completely equal society is what really drives this world. Because if you can have a completely equal society where no one gets hurt, where no one is tormented or pained or slaughtered because they're a different race, or angered upon because they're loud in class, or talked down to because they earn a lower wage, I'm sure we could get through even an Armageddon. Well, Mr. LaRue, thank you for being with us, but unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for our show. Our viewers in the audience will be getting a copy of the book for themselves. Every viewer at home, unfortunately, has to go buy it at the nearest bookstore, or they can buy it online at www.shoveyourfeelings-into-a-deep-dark-hole-and-burn-them-alive-because-feelings-are-overrated.com. Today! Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a great night. And I hope this book helps you with talking about your feelings to people. Good night.